My guest on the show today met him about 10 odd years ago. This wasn't where we met. We met some place in East Legon around Mest. But today, as you can tell, things have changed. And they have changed for the better. And they are working. That is the most important of it. What he's done for the game industry in Ghana, bringing it to where it's supposed to be, is mind-blowing. And I'll allow him to introduce himself. Eyram.
Yes.
Such a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure always.
It's such a pleasure. This is our guest, so please introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, so I'm Eyram Tawia. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Letty Arts, which is Africa's, I can say, one of the first full-time video game development companies in the sub-region. And I think I'm happy to be here on Working Tech. Yes.
And it is for this exact same reason why it's important that we talk to Eyram, because it almost feels like a full circle moment. About 10 years ago, this wasn't it. This was in Mest, some place where we met. We had our first conversations.
In a garage.
In a garage, you know, kicking things off. Tell us what we are seeing here.
Oh, so this is the new Letty Arts office. It's called, we've always said or referred to our Ghana office as the HQ. So this is the Letty Arts HQ. Yes, and this space particularly is going to train more game developers and creatives. We are still setting it up.
So all that. I want to give you a view of where we are. So you can see this big space here. We can see some of the material from Numa. We can see obviously Africa's legends reawakening and some of the characters in there. We can see Kamza on the wall as well, and we'll be showing you some of the other characters on the wall as well. Tell us what this place is really all about.
Yeah, so Letty Arts has been the pioneer of gaming on the African continent. And when we started, we were challenged with a lot of issues, with human resource being the first problem, and funding is actually the last, right? So we needed to fix the human resource, the cultural mindset of gaming, and before infrastructure, before even funding could work. So as part of almost every game studio, or the values of Letty Arts, the next generation and talent development is key. So in every setup, we run a training session, internship programs and all that. And it's through our internship program that we've now branded as the STEAM Academy. And here it's going to be the STEAM Academy, which is going to house creatives. And you know, gaming brings together all creatives or all skill sets. We work with scientists, we work with artists, and in artists, voiceover artists, musicians, and everything. So just a creative haven for probably gamers, right? I want to bring it into new media and artificial intelligence and robotics for the next generation. So our space will be open to everyone, as we always do, but this place will be for the STEAM Academy. We are still signing on partners, so if you are a tech hub or some company wanting to focus on gaming or have a small event or anything, you can always partner us and we launch it here. We have very cool facilities that we are bringing to board.
So basically, once you and I'm also mindful of the fact that this is part of a very long journey from where Letty Arts has come from, and I can see the various branches that are beginning to develop as we go on. For the uninitiated, Letty Arts, number one, what exactly is it? Number two, tell us some of the incredible work that you've done over the period. And we hear there's a new kid on the block that is causing waves everywhere. Tell us about that.
Yes, so Letty Arts, as I said, is a game development company, and we build games based on African history and folklore. The goal is to preserve our history, right, our dying stories in interactive formats that is genuinely exciting for the next generation. Africa doesn't have its own IPs, and we poorly represent them as well. So what gaming does is it brings it in an exciting format that the youngster can be genuinely excited with. And I grew up with superheroes, Batman, Superman, the usual suspects, right? And I read comics, I read video games. So Letty Arts kickstarted the whole Africa's Legends initiative, which is a whole universe with heroes and villains and
the
fixing
mix.
Africa in the mix, right? And through that universe, we tell stories through comics, graphic novels, and then video games. And it's expanding now into animation through partnerships and merchandise. We just even launched a merchandise store on our new website if you look at the new website. So that's what we've been doing, and that is what Letty Arts is. And in doing that, gaming transcends every industry. So we do a lot of serious games, which is gamification services. So we work with all the big NGOs, like we've done work with UNDP, USAID, JPIGO, gamifying their advocacy purposes. So if you have a game for malaria, a game to teach sexual health, reproductive systems and all that, Letty Arts is very huge there. We just did one, Mama Kingi, which is a business simulation game for souvenir sellers, right, which was funded by GIZ. And we did one with the AU, also funded with GIZ, called Mission 55. We've done Showcase. Currently, we are doing a game in Netherlands, which is launched in Netherlands, right, funded by the Netherlands municipality of Leeuwarden. So Letty Arts has really come far in terms of being a hallmark of gaming on the African soil. So what you see here is like a catalog, a museum. And as I speak to, we are in actual museums globally. If you go there, we are pioneers. So we have our own mini museum of Africa's legends. Each one have their stories,
right? And
we have them together.
Can you point them out to us?
Yes.
You know, who exactly are these legends? And then we can.
So first of all, when you enter, you see our inscriptions. We are forging Africa's legends, right? Through comics and games.
Right.
And we are making meaningful African games, and then we are leading the African story. So with this, we know that he's a usual suspect. We've seen him being told in different formats. And definitely we have black pharaohs as well, but we have him in light skin for a reason, for the story. We have the prophetess. Prophetess is responsible for religious stuff on the continent, right? She's a villain, actually, causing religious wars and other stuff, right? And we have Tolo. Tolo Sagala, she is the leader of the Africa's Legend. She's from Mali and the Dogon tribe. And you know the Dogons are known for being technologically and astronomically inclined. They were able to detect the tiniest stars with their naked eye years before Galileo used a telescope to even see it. So she draws her powers from them. Then we have Shango, the god of thunder.
The mallet weaver.
Exactly, yeah. So he is the Thor of Africa, or Thor is the Shango of
the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we have one of my favorite villains, the Wunden from South Sudan, actually, but we have heroes from South Sudan. But Wunden here is a war hero who represents the unrest in that territory, right? Using child soldiers and all that, right? So he tells that story. And then Kamza, the most popular of them all, that has transcended boundaries, and it was created by Farida Bedwe, who also has cerebral palsy. And as I speak, Kamza has made so much impact. The comic has gone so far. She's now the first Africa's Legends that has been licensed in a game that is being played in the US now by over 12 million kids. It's like a Minecraft game. Kamza is in that game teaching cultural literacy. And we've also signed her off on an option. So very soon you may see some animation thing popping around. So she's one of the very successful characters that we are proud of. And currently we are building a game on her as well. So that's the beauty of having a franchise or an IP. Because you can always draw something from there and then use it and build on. through audiobooks. Like now we can do audiobooks, we can do animation, we can do live action, we can do license the character into an existing game like Mortal Kombat or something. So that's the power of IP. So the goal of Letty is to build strong African IPs, and as you can see across Africa, other studios are also doing the same. So very soon, we always say that not only are we building what? A company, but we are building a whole new industry. So an industry encompasses all other studios.
Because that's where the challenge was. The fact that we never really had a gaming industry in Ghana. We grew up playing all these games, but we never really had one for ourselves that we could either invest in or be a part of or train other people in. And we're just going through the space right now. I can see quite a number of the other heroes as well on the wall. So just walk us through some of the heroes as we're going along.
Yes, so as you can see, this is Rhodesia. So you know Zimbabwe was conquered by. So this guy is a villain, obviously.
He looks like one.
And that's the sappers of DR Congo. Those guys who actually spend on designer clothing, but they live in slums and all that. So that's the sappers. Then we have the forger. So the forger is one of my favorite folkloric characters. He comes from the CAR Zimbabwe side. So there's a folkloric character made of wood. So he has some shifting abilities. Abilities. Then
that's
Maasai.
That's the god.
Maasai warriors. Yes. So he is drawn from the Maasai descent, from our Africa's Legends Legacy universe. So we have two universes. We have the Legacy and we have the Reawakening. So the legacies are made, that universe is made for the actual gods and telling the actual story. Like saying this is Kwame Nkrumah, this is his story, and he's part of the legacy.
He's one of them.
Yeah, and then we have the Reawakening. So these are Reawakenings and the adaptations
of the originals.
Of powers. That's Anansi from Ghana. Well,
that is a very different kind of Anansi.
Yes.
This one we don't know very well, but I'm guessing probably bears a lot of similarity to the Anansi that we know.
Exactly.
We can clearly see all the Kente, very much represented. This and this is the level, how refreshing it is to have the landscape, if I should say, to be able to use creativity to bring some of these
characters
to life. Because when I see this Anansi and the Anansi that I grew up with, clearly,
difference,
there's a very, very big difference between them. But it speaks to
similarities.
I see.
Yes, having the abilities of Anansi, weaving the web of illusion, right? Anansi is known to be a trickster and also a wise man. So he has that power, to be able to do that. Even I can show you how we draw or come up with our stories.
That's why this is working tech. And if you just tuned in, this whole channel is just basically dedicated to figuring out the technology that is actually working in Ghana, in Africa, and by Africans. And so we are going to discover a bit more of the space. And I hear that there's a special room behind me which has some incredible people as well. But then you're still tuned in. This is Working Tech with me, Philip Ashon, and it's a pleasure to come your way.